Welcome everybody to the World of Ability Podcast Network. My name is Emily Gulmer and am a podcast engineer here. And we're excited to bring you another episode of the Ask Me Bridge Show with Suzanne Plumley, which we do here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central, and which is about late diagnosis Asperger's and life kind of connected with that. So I'd love for everybody to check out our social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and so on. But without anything further to do, let's bring in Suzanne to get us off and introduce our great guest today.
Hello, and thank you, Emily. Hello, Dana.
Hey, Suzanne. Thanks, Emily.
It's great to see you. Great to see you. Great to have a live guest this time. I've had such great fun with Ope Lilibet, who did our opening of our tuning into our discontent. And then last week, Chris did our testing our dream. Both of them were on recorded. And so technical grace, everyone, technical grace. That's all I'm going to keep saying. But I'm so happy to have Dana here live because I know it's going to work out really well this week. And as I say, we are on part 3 of our 10 series. And this one is build a bigger sense of deserving. And it's interesting. Let me go with what I usually say first. With all the awesome Aspie individuals who are out in the world telling you what the traits of autism are, so you get a better understanding of some of the different traits that make us different from all of you, or so those of you who are also neurodivergent Aspie like us, you get a better idea that you're not alone. And we have Paul Micallef out in Australia and Samantha Stein in up in the Netherlands, I believe it is. Yes, Sarah Hendricks is in the UK. Temple Grandin is here in the US, as well as so many other wonderful people on YouTube telling you what autism is. You didn't need another person telling you what it is. There are so many great people out there. But the mission of the Aspie Bridge is to help all of you to understand that I have created a program because we never got resources. We never received that help because we all graduated before autism became known in women, for sure. And even some men weren't even diagnosed. They were just considered introverted. So the mission of the Aspie Bridge is to bring together friends and coaches like Dana and all the coaches that came before her and all the ones that will come after her to let you know that there are people that come from society who are like-minded, like myself, who are life coaches and transformational consultants who will help you with their zone of expertise understand that you are not alone if you go into society. I have a bunch of eyes out in society that are going to make sure that you are treated correctly. So by coming to me, the torchbearer, I help you connect with people like Dana and Chris and Ope and all the others so that you know that you're not alone. And it's like if you were to go to a ski lodge, except in the summer months. And the first place you have to go to is the base lodge. That's where you get all your gear together. Think of Aspie Bridge Builders as where you collect all your gear, your equipment, your snacks, and everything, and get ready to climb a mountain. Except the base lodge, everyone is welcome to join. Everyone is welcome to come here and get the help they need. Now, whether or not you go up to the rest of the mountain is up to you. But I think you'll find that once you get the excitement of going over the bridge, you don't want to stop there. And my dear friend Dana is here to help you understand where she can help you. Dana, welcome. How can you help these wonderful individuals who are learning that they're Asperger's? And what brought you to want to be on the Aspie Bridge?
Suzanne, thank you so much for hosting me, and welcome everybody. Hello and much love. I'm Dana Hunter Fradella. I'm a success coach and life mastery consultant based out of New Orleans, but my clients are coming from all over the world. And I started my career as an educator. And remember my very first classroom when I was 21 years old had 42 students in them. And as it turns out, not just that in that class, but in all the classrooms that I taught and ultimately the schools that I led, there was a genius population of kiddos who identified as being on the Asperger's syndrome or on the autism spectrum. And some of them, I don't know if they would self-identify, but had traits of Asperger's and autism. And so I had the gift of teaching in classrooms, of leading in schools, and now my career has evolved into coaching. I specifically coach ambitious, heart-centered women to create confident lives that they love. And what I am so excited to share with you as a partner, Suzanne, is how to build a bigger sense of deserving, no matter who you are or where you come from or where you're starting. It's always possible to build a bigger sense of deserving or worthiness as you head towards the dreams of your life. So I'm excited to share more about what that looks like.
Oh, yeah. You were one of the first people who signed up to be my guest when I
was so excited.
It was so cool. I mean, I don't even think I had, for all of you, I created a list of all the topics that I want to talk to you about. And I had gone to all of my coach friends and I said, here's the list of all the topics of all. And it was the 10 steps of bridge building. And I said, you're welcome to pick any one of these topics that you feel most comfortable talking about. And Dana, quickly, I don't even think it was out an hour. Dana's like, I'm taking the sense of deserving. I'm like, it's yours.
I did, because I feel like next to having a big dream and a clear vision for what you would love, building a bigger sense of deserving is your biggest power tool for getting there as quickly as possible and believing that dream is worthy of you, that you're worthy of the dream, and that you are expanding your sense of self so that you're believing that that dream is for you. And you're excited about it.
Yeah, it's a rocket fuel. If anyone thinks of a rocket,
it absolutely is.
It's a rocket fuel. I mean, yeah, the rocket can sit there on the ground and look pretty and awesome, and we can look up at it and say, wow. But until it does something, we're not really impressed. It's like a 5-minute wow. But now you put some fuel under that rocket fire and it's going to take off, and you can too. We also call that burning desire. Yeah. And that is when your heart gets so upset. Well, let's call it slightly upset by the discontent in your life that you're like, I've had it. I'm tired of being discontent. There is so much more life to live. I want to live it. And so building that sense of deserving is like turning up the heat to that burning desire. And let me tell you about a time when I turned up the heat. Now, as coaches, we go through coaching training, and one of the faculty members kind of dared us without realizing he was daring me, and I took the dare. He said, you can tell everybody that you shared a stage with Mary Morrissey. And I'm like, I can't say that. It's not true. I have to do it in order to make it true. So I had gone to this wonderful trip with them. And on the 4th day, and some of you may have heard the story. I don't think it's the first time I've told it. This is the first time Dana's heard it, though. So we went to this trip. And on the 4th day, we are to create an ecumenical service, which is a service where there is no denomination that resides higher than any of the others. Everybody is welcome to worship in their own way. And there came an opportunity where the mentor said to us, I'm not going to run this. All of you are running this. So we had the opportunity to choose what role we wanted it to do in this service. And I said to myself, after hearing all the list of all the different parts we could play, one of them was scripture. The other one was a sermon speaker. And the third one that I really liked was the choir. Now, but I really wanted the sermon. I really wanted to do that. But I'm saying to myself, but I'm not at the platinum level, which is what most of the people are who are part of this organization. They're at what is called the platinum level. I came in as what was called a la carte client, which meant that I could sign up for this program. So you can understand that my sense of deserving was, well, maybe I should shrink because I'm not quite at that level yet. And I said, no. Matt challenged us to say we could tell everybody that we share the stage with Mary Morrissey. So we all wrote down on a piece of paper, 3 individual pieces of paper, what role we wanted to play, and it was literally picked out of a hat who was going to do each one. Lo and behold, I got my name picked out for being a sermon giver, and oh my gosh, let me tell you, that was my feeling of receiving something that I really wanted. I wanted to get up on stage and tell the story. And I'll tell you, it's one of the reasons why I'm able to do this podcast today is because I get up on that stage with wobbly knees saying, do I deserve this? And then I started out with the mic in my hand and said I was going to be up on stage, and here I am. And everybody went into full applause. I was so happy. And then I did my speech, my sermon. And would you know, I wrote it in 10 minutes. It just flowed right through me. And it just came out. And let me tell you, if you don't think you don't have a sense of deserving, I got up on stage being not quite the platinum level that everybody else was, and I did it, and so can you. I bet Dana has a story as well that she can share with you about building that sense of deserving.
Absolutely. And Suzanne, I was thinking about some options of stories I could tell. And I want to go back about 15 years ago when I was leading a school and by all accounts had high confidence, felt deserving. I was really young to be a school principal, so I felt like, oh, I've got it going on. And I had built up this sense of deserving that was probably even a little bit inflated. And also, I had some personal problems. I had substance abuse issues. I had some mental health challenges. And when I mixed those two things together, what happened was I was in the middle of my dream job and then lost it because of those personal problems that I was experiencing. And so that was a bottom for me. And up until then, I had degrees from fancy colleges, and I had super success, really fast success in my career. I owned a house. I was well partnered. I had a really sexy boyfriend, and I was sure we were going to get married, and all that fell apart. So I lost my job. I've lost my house. I lost the guy I left. I just all of that crumbled. And so long story short, my sense of deserving was really in the gutter. And it stayed that way for probably way too long until I decided to take some action to solve those personal problems that I was having and to create a new path for myself. And I wish I could tell you that it happened fast, but it didn't. I had to go through a healing process. And I got into a 12-step program to solve that personal issue I was having. And slowly but surely, I remembered who I was. I got connected to a higher power. I surrounded myself with people who were partners in believing for me. And slowly but surely, not only did I build back what I had before, this sense of deserving, but this time it wasn't inflated with ego. This time it was a deep knowing that because of my past experiences, I had so much more to offer to women who've experienced setbacks in their lives. And so through the process of healing and serving and redesigning myself and really getting clear on what was important to me and who I actually was, I was able to, with a lot of help, recreate a really deep sense of worthiness, of deserving, and of confidence that was inflated before and built on very much material markers. And now it's a deep knowing that is reflected by material stuff, but I didn't start with the material. I started with building internally a remembrance of who I am, whose I am, and letting my steps reflect my new core values, the things that are super important to me, taking one step at a time, using that experience as a way to be of service to other women and folks, especially in the recovery community. And through that, because I have done a bunch of deserving actions, have built a fundamental sense of bigger deserving. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, we all come from that spot. And you brought up some key elements to help all my women. And that was, we all do come from a feeling of shame and victimhood. Like, what did I do to myself? Or what did others do to me that made me feel so small? And as Dana said, it can happen to everybody. We all get to that point of what feels like what they call now rock bottom. For me, it was just not feeling worthy in my own family. That was my rock bottom. And finally saying, I'm done. I'm not going to stay at the bottom of my family food chain. It's not really a food chain, as we know, but I felt like that. I mean, I talk about two kinds of apples, and my brothers were the Fuji apples up here, and I was the Red Delicious down here. And even though a Red Delicious is not bad, if you were given a choice of a Red Delicious or a Fuji apple, which would you take? So when I discovered that I was autistic, I went from being the Red Delicious to the green apple. And that took me completely out of the same tier that my brothers were lining up and said, nope, I'm going my own way and I'm going to keep going. So talk about a sense of deserving, right?
Yeah, you remembered who you are. You got more secure in your own identity. And you even said, at first you were at the Fuji, but then it's like, why stop there? I can be rocketed, to go with that analogy, way beyond where I was before, without even needing to compare yourself to the other apples. You know that your path is destined for greatness because you got clear on what you were done with and who you are, and to get excited about that and the possibilities that are within that.
Absolutely. I remember one quick story. I remember talking to a bunch of my brother's fiance's friends in Harvard. And my brother had been conditioned by my mother that I wasn't good enough for the Ivy League colleagues. I wasn't good enough to talk to them. So he walked over and said, we're going home. You're bothering them. And the women were all looking at me like, what's that all about? Because we were having a great conversation. It wasn't like I was a little Plymouth State and they were Harvard. No, we're just all women having great conversation. And it's just like, okay. So I had already built this self-security within myself, but I kept on having families say, no, that's not who you are. And I found myself in 2018. Let's go on to say, sometimes we have limiting beliefs and that little nagging voice in our heads, which goes right along with what we're talking about right now, which is, oh, well, what if I had said to myself, oh, I can't get up on stage. I'm really not supposed to be here because I'm not that level. That's a limiting belief. And what if Dana said, that I can't do another career, I might mess it up again or something like that. I mean, we all have limiting beliefs that say to us, no, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? The last time we tried that, look at what happened. That's that little naggy voice in us that says, that's this voice of limiting beliefs and self-doubt. Who do you think you are anyway? Going after this dream, going after this goal, going after this achievement. Who do you think you are? I bet you've heard that a lot, haven't you, Dana?
Yeah, I have, Suzanne. And, interestingly, it sounds a lot like me, that little voice in my head. It sounds kind of like me. But since you talked about your family and my experience, both in my personal healing journey and also leading clients through this, is that this limiting beliefs often do stem from family of origin experiences or from friend groups or from people that we trust, often at a young age, who tell us things that aren't actually true. And so
Mhm.
I'm often like, why do I even believe that? And quick to beat myself up. But the truth is, limiting beliefs aren't anybody's fault. They're not my fault. They're not your fault. So to cling to them and shame myself for having them is not a great use of time. But just to know that those limiting beliefs may or may not have started before me. Oftentimes, a lot of the beliefs, when I am noticing them and rewriting them, which I know we'll get to, that comes from things that I picked up as a kid or as a young woman that I just
Mhm.
unconsciously carried with me as an agreement into the present. And I don't know if you're familiar with Don Miguel Ruiz, but he's a spiritual teacher. His book, The Four Agreements, makes it so easy. It's like, that's just an agreement that you've made, and you can disagree with it and create a new agreement at any time. So
Absolutely. That is a favorite book of mine. I read that last summer and I could read it 4 and 5 more times after that. It's called The Four Agreements for anyone who wants to pick it up. And I recommend it highly,
and
highly.
the beliefs are often subconscious, so they may or may not show up as voice in your head, right? So I often have to look at areas where I feel blocked or stuck. I help my clients look in ways where they feel like they are underperforming or they're procrastinating, and then we start to scratch the surface of that and say, well, what belief seems to be underneath that? Even if it's
Mhm.
not conscious in your mind, it could be something that's anchoring you back. Now, listen, we don't spend a ton of time there. And in fact, it's not important to list every single limiting belief that we have, because there are some tools to rocket fuel yourself out of those limiting beliefs into expanded beliefs that help you remember who you actually are.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And the limiting beliefs, we can admit and acknowledge our story. In fact, our story has a lot of goodness in it.
Mhm.
It was, believe it or not, Napoleon Hill who said every adversity has a seed of good in it. So the seed is the lesson that you learn from the story. So in my story, it was that my family was trying to keep me small. And I had decided no more, no more keeping me small. So that was the lesson, is how small do I want to stay?
And that
And my
you have
answer was,
agency over the way you feel about you, right? Like you get to pick how you feel about you. They don't have agency in that.
no, they don't. They don't. And in fact, I had come to learn through going through the organization that Dana and I go through. There are 3 little words that we can say whenever we think we get stuck back in that story. And it's up until now.
Up
Up
until now.
until now, I was dealing with that. But now I can go on and be your leader, be your torchbearer, help you go over back into society and bring your gifts with you. Up until now, I may have struggled with that, but not anymore.
Yeah,
What is
absolutely.
yours?
It's literally like the line that we can draw in the sand that sets us free. Because, and I use up until now all the time. Every day I'm using it. I'll find myself saying, well, for instance, I just started a YouTube channel. And I said to myself, you can't start a YouTube channel. You don't know how to do that. And then I said, up until now, I don't know how to start a YouTube channel. But starting now, I'm going to try to figure it out. And when I put effort behind intention, I can learn anything. And that's
Absolutely.
a small example. But even the bigger limiting beliefs, like I used to have, and just to be candid, full blown alcoholism. And so that was sort of like, yeah, up until, well, not now, it's been 15 years since I've been sober. But the thinking that's behind that, right? There's this underlying like fear, I'm afraid, or I'm selfish, or I'm up until now, I've been afraid of this thing. But starting now, I'm going to take one tiny action to face that fear, and I'm going to get stronger as a result. So it's almost like a self-coaching tool up until now. And the last thing I want to say about that is it's easier to do when you're hearing other people, like clients, when a client will say something that clearly indicates a limiting belief or a negative thought that they have about themselves or anyone else. I'll challenge them. I'll say up until now. And that immediately brings the mind to the right now, which is when we can make change only in the right now. Up until now, you thought that. And now what's your new belief? What's your new action? So it's like a beautiful awareness tool to pause gently the limiting belief from before and literally create a new brain path forward, a new heart path forward, and a new intention but for action forward that's disconnected from the limiting idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What a line in the sand that is. It's like, no, you don't want to go back to that past life. You want to take the good that came from it, which is what we were talking about with that lesson. But that doesn't mean you need to go back there. Mm-hmm. And ladies, those of you who are in the forest, once you approach me, yeah, we may camp out if we have a hard day once or twice, but don't stay there. Okay, I acknowledge I'm having a hard day. Let me think about it. Let me reframe myself and then go forward again. And that brings us right into what is potential and how do you know you have it? Well, the very fact that you can approach the bridge means that you have enough faith in yourself, enough longing for something different, enough longing for a life that you actually enjoy, because we don't want to stay stuck for the rest of our lives. That wouldn't be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And knowing that you have potential, that's the same thing as knowing you are deserving of something. Go ahead, Dana, go ahead and add on to potential and how they can find that potential within them.
Yes. So it's impossible to build a bigger sense of deserving if we don't have a clear vision for who and what we would love to be. So I love that this is part 3, and it's intentional, right? Because part 1 is we want to get crystal clear on what we would love. And then in this sense, it's who we would love to be. Would we love to be a woman of confidence? I just published a guide called A Woman's Guide to Unshakable Confidence. I'd love to share that with you. But the very first step in building your sense of worthiness and building your sense of deserving and building your confidence is a clear vision for who you would love to be. Do you want to be confident in your words? Do you want to be kind in every situation? Do you want to be successful? Do you want to feel agency? Do you want to remember who you are all the time? Well, let's start there. And just in that dream, you have cracked open what the universe has handed you, which is the gift of your own potential. Of course, you have potential. If you're breathing right now, you have a purpose, you have potential, and your first step in expanding into your potential is to get clear on your vision. Who would you love to be? What would you love? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you got to start with like, well, I know what I don't want. I don't want my family to be mean to me. I don't want to suffer from a substance abuse. I don't want to be stressed out. A lot of my girls are stressed. I don't want to be stressed out. Okay. Well, if that's what you don't want, what would you love instead? And sometimes it's simply the opposite. I want to be independently confident. Yeah. And so I just want to tie all of that together because it must be tied together. We first start with a vision. Who would I love to be? Start there. And then step 2 is deciding that dream is worthy of you. And then the step 3 is elevating your self-image to match the dream. Remembering that I'm never going to perform who I think I am. I'm never going to outperform that. And in your instance, you first believed hesitantly, but that's all it takes, just a little bit. Just a mustard
one
seed.
Corner of the mind is what our mentor says. One corner of the mind is all it takes.
You believed you could get up on stage with Mary Morrissey, and it happened. But it first started with your belief. You got clear on what you would love. And then in the meantime, you increased your sense of self-deserving. And there are tools that we're going to talk about here in just a minute for, okay, well, I don't feel deserving. What do I do? right? Because if I don't feel deserving, I will never outperform that. But when I expand my sense of deserving, which I can easily do, doing a few simple exercises, then I can start to perform at that level. That matches the woman in my dream.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, Dana, that you and I have a lot in common. I'm also a certified teacher.
Yeah.
And when I had found out that the principal didn't like me in this last school I was in and was looking for a way to get rid of me because she wasn't comfortable in autistic teachers, became very clear that I wasn't meant to be there, but I still knew I was going to teach. I just thought maybe I'll teach enrichment courses, which I am going to do in this whole coaching program. But you know what came out of that is a surprise. And sometimes, ladies, you are surprised what comes out of that. I am proud of myself. And you can say this. You're not going to go around gloating, I'm proud of myself. That's something that you can embody in yourself. I'm proud of myself that I've gone onto YouTube since January 2nd of this year, and I've done this podcast without getting nervous. And then my most recent dream achieved, we have what is called dream achieved, is I was on the news telling my story. And I'm like, wow, if you were to ask me 15 years ago if I wanted to be a speaker and on stage, I wouldn't have known that. So sometimes we can build up that potential of what we don't want, of what we would love. Then we can realize what we don't love. But sometimes your life will take on a pathway you didn't even realize you wanted to do until you got there. And so, I mean, this podcast, it lights me up. I love doing it. And if you had asked me 15 years ago, this is what I was going to be doing, I would have been like, are you crazy? But look, I love helping all of you. And so I found a sense of deserving that I belong here because I've gone over the bridge. I've had the experience of finding wonderful people. And if I can do it, I know you can too.
Yeah. And that just something that made me think of, Suzanne, is when I'm not feeling like I'm deserving, I go and listen to someone who makes me feel like maybe I am, like someone like you, and surround myself with podcasts and YouTubers and even in real life friends who are going to hold that believing for themselves and for me too, to remind me who I am. Because I will forget very quickly.
Yeah, we all do. And one thing that we do in our organization is when you can ask your friends to hold energy for you. And we do this thing called holding energy, which just means you don't even need words. You just need to say, and it's kind of like putting a hand on someone's back. I've got you. I'm there for you. I will be your accountability partner. And what a volume that says about having people that support us in something that we may even think that is not possible, but they believe is possible. And that helps us believe it's possible too. All right, let's go on. All right, Dana, we have what is called low and high frequencies and vibrations. And sometimes, ladies, when you're not feeling like you're in the flow, it's what is called a low vibration. Yeah, you're surviving, you're eating, you're sleeping, but your life is just kind of sitting there. And that may be a low vibration. But think of the last time you got excited about an event that was coming up. Maybe it was your next milestone birthday. Maybe it was going on a trip that you long for. That's when our vibrations start to climb up again because we get that excitement. What can you share about low vibrations and high vibrations?
I am about to get out of my seat right now because I love this topic so much. I could speak all day long on it, but to keep it super simple, and this is what I coach my clients on, everything is energy, every single thing. Thoughts are energy, words are energy, music, the way you move your body, the sun is energy, the grass, your daughter, your son, your parents, everything is energy, every single thing. Now, if you want to go science, you could say everything's molecular, everything's cellular, atoms. If you look at atoms moving around, it's quick. So however you want to approach it, I'm more of like the energetic Eastern. but everything carries an energy. And I think about our lives as a dial. And we want to, in order to be living in the middle of this dream that we have for ourselves, what we would love for our lives, we want the dial to be turned as far in the positive direction, in the high vibrations, in the high energy. That's when we're feeling joy, we're feeling gratitude, we're feeling excitement, we're feeling enthusiasm, we're feeling flow, we're feeling peace. All of those feelings or energy helps us turn the dial up, and the higher and more consistent I can keep the dial up. That doesn't mean I have to be like this all the time. It can simply mean I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to the day. I'm enjoying the moment. I'm grateful for the gifts that I have. I know you can feel that coming through the screen, right? That raises the dial of my own energy. And here's the key. We attract into our lives, we invite even into our lives what we are and who and what we are. And who and what we are is at a fundamental level energy. So if my energy is positive and grateful and appreciative and excited, I can expect more things that match that frequency to come and fall in my lap, to open the door and come in my way. Now, that's the best news. The other news is the farther the dial goes down, where I feel angry or depressed or anxious or irritated or worried, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And when it's just saying those words, you can feel the energy on the podcast lower and lower and lower. And my physical and spiritual being start to vibrate at a much lower level. And the sad part about that, and I know we've all had experience in this because we're not always at the top, is that wherever I'm vibrating, that's what I'm inviting. That's what I'm attracting. And so, for instance, back in 2009, when I was at the lowest point of my life, all of that happened at once, not coincidentally. It's because my energy was worried all the time and stressed out and freaked out and angry and irritated. And so, culminating years of feeling like that, add on some substance abuse, then of course there was an explosion. That's how the universe works. Yes. We get who we are. We receive who we are. So high frequency is where we're headed. Now, I'm not going to beat myself up if I'm having a sad moment or I'm having a sad day. If I'm having feelings, I need to feel those feelings. But as a coach, I say, yes, feel your feelings as quickly as you can. Get on the floor and have a cry. We have a big brown bear that we're like, I have small kids too. So it's like, okay, go punch big brown bear. Get that anger moving through. Don't resist the feelings because you know what we resist persists. Yes. And then let it flow so that you have the space to raise your energy again. Are we ready to talk about tools for how to raise energy, or you want me to hold off?
One moment. Just brought up a really fascinating idea, because I think if you can imagine, I don't know how many of you like to ride a roller coaster, but think about a roller coaster when you're watching it. You have that build and you're building up and you're building up. Well, no, the roller coaster's not going to stay 75 feet up in the air. It's going to come down. But think of how the momentum of coming down, it may seem like, oh, your whole world's falling apart, but how long is it down? It's down just long enough to get the momentum to go around the next curve. So if you can start to think of it as being on a roller coaster, okay, I know the down is coming, but my life is still moving. I'm not going to stay stuck there. A roller coaster just doesn't go down the hill and then say, all right. No, it keeps going. So if you can imagine your life being on a roller coaster, watching a roller coaster, I know some of you have a fear of roller coasters. Next week, we're talking about fears, by the way. Okay. But coming down off of that, yeah, you're going to feel it. Okay, all right, I get it. This wasn't such a hot week. Oh, but here I go again. And if you can realize that your life is going to stay in motion, just like Dana said, it's energy. You're not going to come to a dead stop. You're going to keep going. So if you can start to put those positive thoughts in there, you're going to start to come back up again and go around the curve and pick up more momentum to go back up to the next high point. So our life is not static. just like she was saying, it's like being on a roller coaster. And until you come and you get off the roller coaster to go to another ride, you're going to keep in motion.
Right? Welcome to humanity.
Exactly. So, yeah.
I would say the key for me when I'm reflecting on, I do a lot of reflecting forward and reflecting back. The key is, can I raise my vibration a little bit more today than I did yesterday? So that now that I feel like I'm closer to mastering these tools, my life feels a little bit less like a roller coaster and more like a gentle seesaw. And because I'm empowered with these tools, at the same tools I coach my clients with, I know that when I'm leaning towards the negative vibration, I can just pick up a few simple tools and shift the energy gently in the other direction. So
that's true.
But I won't lie to you. At first, when I first started using these tools and before I was awake to the power of energy, my life was absolutely, roller coaster, upside down, out in outer space and back again. But now it's a much more gentle balance.
The thrill of the ride, for sure.
Yeah.
And your legs are the momentum. Your legs are what are going to take that next step forward. So think about being on the seesaw. And I like that, because if you were a kid back when we had seesaws, what was the one thing that pushed you back up again? Was using your legs. And what do we do in order to take that next step forward? You use your legs. So again, you're not stuck. Whether you want the exhilaration of the roller coaster to help you get through those lower times faster, but while still acknowledging them, you don't want to keep going and not acknowledge them.
Right.
You want to just realize, okay, here's the slow point. What can I do to come back up again? Use your legs to take a step in that direction. Just like with the seesaw. I'm down. What can I do to get back up? Use your legs and your ideas to bring you back up again. So Dana, we're on our way to partnering with that higher power, because without our knowing that our legs will push us back up to take a step forward, it's not going to happen. We need help. Who's that help?
Yes. So it really depends on where you're starting right now. But the core idea of transformational work meaning you're about to change into something even better. You can call it caterpillar work into butterfly work, wherever you want to go with it. I know that if you're breathing, you want more for your life. That's the way humans were designed. The core idea, though, around transformation is our point of power comes from within. Our point of power is within. Now, for my clients, I don't say I am the power, because if I was the power, I would have already accomplished all the things on my dream board. I'm not the power. I'm a conduit for the power. So if you think about it like this, is your heart beating, Suzanne?
Yep.
Are you doing anything to beat your own heart?
I don't know how to beat my own heart. It just does it on its own.
The breath is the same way. I can intentionally take breaths, but my body breathes naturally on its own, whether I'm thinking about it or not. So if I'm not the breather and I'm not the beater of my heart, there is a power who's doing that. Now, I'm not going to get into discussion about what you're calling the power. A lot of people call it God. Some people call it love or life or spirit or whatever. Simply in the recovery movement, we just say, as long as it's not you, you got a shot. So if you're open just a little bit to the idea that you actually aren't the one beating your heart and there's something out there that is, or in here that is, then that is the beautiful beginning of a relationship with what I call God of the universe or whatever it is that's for us, flowing us, moving us in this river of life. And so for me, I don't know about you, Suzanne, but I like accelerated, fancy, lovely results. And I found that when I not only partner with the higher power, but let that higher power lead, that means I'm getting clear on what I love and then saying things like this or something even better still.
Oh yeah,
Right?
and that is definitely our affirmation for later on. So yeah, that is a great way to start introducing that information. It's a great thing, ladies. When you think about, we've now given you two. Every adversity has a seed of good in it. This or something greater still, better still.
Mhm.
And then we have one more I'm going to share at the end that I didn't put onto the list, but it just came to me. And we'll talk about that in a few moments. But yeah, your higher power is what's going to help you. And just like Chris and I talked about last week with goals versus dreams, goals you can do on your own. I can clean out the garage on my own. I can take these items that I want to donate to Goodwill. I can. Those are all goals, but you don't need to higher power them. However, if you say, I would love to move to California, or I would love to move here, you're going to need some additional help, because that's not something you can do. You can do parts of it on your own, but you still need that higher power to help you make all the parts come together so that you can do it.
And when you do that, it's more fun. It's faster, and the outcome is beyond anything your human form could have designed. It's beyond that. So there's so many benefits of partnering with the higher power. One being, you don't even know how small you're dreaming. You think the dream is big, but once you sync up with the higher power, spend time accessing that higher power, developing relationship with that higher power, and then following its lead, its lead, you're going to be blown away. You will be looking around your life saying, wow, I love my life. I'm not sure exactly how this all got here, but I am so grateful that it did. And it started with the connection with the higher power to give you your rocket fuel to build yourself believing and deserving, so that you're willing to take risks and actions that are going to fill you with fear. But because you're well partnered, you got a really solid business partner, if you will, you're going to do it anyway, because you're held.
Yes, and think of it this way: a goal you could almost do by yourself. But now, I was talking to my daughter, my older daughter, yesterday. Sometimes we can get voices from other people telling us things that go right in line with our dream. And you're like, whoa, how did that happen? Because I was just thinking about that. And all of a sudden, I get the word from someone else. They didn't know you were thinking that. They didn't know you were feeling that. Sometimes your higher power will come out through another voice. Like I was saying to my daughter just yesterday, I'd like to come and spend more time living near you guys again. She's like, yeah, Mom, you really should. I'm like, okay. And then I was reading another book about something, and it can come off the pages of a book. Indeed. To let you know that you're right on target of where you're supposed to be. You never know where you're going to get those signals from the higher power that are going to come out in your everyday life, just reassuring you that you're on the right path.
Yeah. And you can ask for them. You can literally say, show me a sign. And you're going to be careful, because you're going to get it.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yes. So we have a saying that says, you can think of it as two ways. Do I deserve the dream? That's just like going back to my original story. Do I deserve to get up on stage? Or does everyone deserve to have my ideas and my content come out and flower them? I had a gentleman came up to me at a party after I had done the stage presentation. He said, you had millionaires and doctors in the room listening to you. I'm like, oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, I got up because it was something I wanted to do. It was a goal to get up on stage, but it was also not a goal. It was a dream to get up on stage. And then I didn't know he was going to say that to me after. I had no idea. And so, yes, the world deserves to have your dreams. You are deserving of it. Does my dream deserve me?
That's
Wow,
right.
that's a
I
big
mean, we
one.
flipped that question on its head. We're done asking we're deserving. And I just want to look you in the eye right now and tell you, if you are breathing at this moment, you were born deserving. You were born. You don't have to do or be or change any single thing about you to be worthy and deserving exactly the way you are. Now, I know that that's like a lot of people I coach are like, I don't believe that. So there are some specific tools that I want to offer quickly. How do I build this sense of worthiness and deserving? So
Go for it.
in the recovery movement, we say in order to develop self-esteem, we've got to do esteemable things. So I'm going to, number one, invite you to be a person of increase in every situation you're in. The question behind that is, how can I add to this situation? How can I add value to this situation? And so I go for runs every morning, and whenever I see somebody's newspaper tossed in the bushes or on the grass, I pause, pick it up, and put it on their porch. That's just a very small example. Your situation might be you want to give somebody a smile, or you want to send them a thank you card, or you want to ask how the cashier is doing, or whatever situation you're in. Ask yourself, how can I add value to this situation? And through doing those small little actions of increase, you naturally build an uprising of your own deserving. The second tool, which is Powerhouse, is to become a person of gratitude. The more grateful I am, the more deserving I believe myself to be. But it doesn't happen in that order. I'm not going to wait to feel deserving before I feel grateful. So my encouragement for you is to look around your space right now, and I want you to find 3 things that you are not just thinking that you're grateful for, but you can embody a feeling of absolute gratitude. So to model, I'm sitting by this beautiful window. I'm so grateful for the sunshine. It adds so much value and vitality to my life. I'm grateful for this bottle of clean filtered water, which nourishes my body and makes me feel vibrant. And Suzanne, I'm grateful for our connection because it has lit up my morning, and you've added so much beauty to my life and positivity. So I am grateful for you. And friends, just by using those 2 tools, 1, becoming a person of increase, and 2, becoming a person of gratitude, you will naturally expand the idea that I am deserving and worthy of these dreams that I have laid out for myself. There are no games or magic required. It's these simple acts to build our own worthiness, which will expand our belief in who we are and what is for us.
Absolutely. And there are no ulterior motives.
Mm-mm.
You keep going on your life. This is a life that was planned for you.
Yeah.
This is a life that you don't get ideas on your own. Yes, I always used to think that my heightened imagination was so far out there that when I really get my dream, oh yes, you didn't just get that idea on your own. Even those of us with very heightened imaginations, those ideas don't just come out of the blue. We actually have those ideas planted in us for a reason. All right, let's just go on to say your dream is not going to be an overnight success. You do need to take the steps forward. You need to take the steps. If you lie on your couch and you journal and say, "Okay, I'm ready for my dream," how far are you going to get, Dana?
No, ma'am. You might feel a little bit better, but hopefully in the feeling, you're going to get off your couch and take some inspired, aligned, what I call feel-good action. Things that make you feel good on the way in pursuit of this vision that you have for your life.
Absolutely. Are you willing to trade your time for this dream? Well, if you're not impassioned, if you're not full of passion for it, you probably will say it's a waste of time. But if you have that burning desire, like I must do this, like I had a burning desire to get on the news, to get more women to be served by this Aspie Bridge Builder program. And so I did. I called up the news station and I said, I hear you're looking for stories. That's an action step. You want to go and meet someone who's enjoys bowling to have a special relationship. Well, you're not going to sit at home watching a bowling game on television. You're going to go to the bowling alley and meet people. It's just one of those things that you have to do your part. It's a collaboration, not a one-way street. You have to work together.
It really is. And you get to do those things, right? You get to take action. I used to think, oh, I have to do this. But now it's like, if I think I have to do this, I'm not bringing the right energy. So then I need to do something that has feel good energy that I get to do. And you nailed it. I get to do 50% and the universe will take it from there. And sometimes I don't even have to do 50%, but I need to know I've got to be willing to do 50%. And the universe or higher power will meet me at least in the middle. Sometimes it goes this way, sometimes it goes that way. But my willingness to take even one small action that I feel good about, it doesn't have to be big. It could be a small, what can I do in the next 5 minutes that's going to feel good to get me moving in the direction of my dream? Maybe it's like, I feel depressed. So maybe it's a 5-minute walk around your house. 5 minutes.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, one last thing I'm going to tell you, ladies, and that is, and this can be challenging, but keep saying to yourself, I'm building a rhizome. You're not going to get up the next morning and see your life change. It's going to be a day-by-day growth. And sometimes you're going to see a little bit of evidence. Other days you may not, but don't give up. Don't give up because you don't see any evidence of any change in your life. We have what is called building a rhizome, a root system underneath our dream. And then you might see a little bit of a stem coming out of the ground. Oh, wow. But if you say, that's all, and you smash it down or step on it, well, that's not going to bring your dream. You have to have faith that every day is a gradual step toward your dream. And no, you're not going to see that little sprout getting bigger and bigger every day. We call that the bamboo theory.
Yeah, I love the bamboo theory.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's going to be just a little sprout for so long. And then you get to this one person that's come to you from your partner in the higher power. And then your dream is going to go because something just transformed because you were willing to put in the time. You were willing to put in the energy. You were willing to put in your whole heart to come having this dream come. Now,
and then you have a big, beautiful field of your dream because you let the seed ruminate, you watered it with action, and you fed it with sunshine, and you fertilized the soil by building your sense of deserving. And all of a sudden you see not just a plant, but a huge oak tree or a field of wildflowers or whatever you're planting metaphorically. It happens. But you're right, Suzanne, it doesn't normally. Now, sometimes it can happen really fast. So if it does, don't be surprised. But traditionally, we want to think about it like planting a field or building a house. I don't know if you've ever seen a house built, but it takes a team of eager builders. It takes a clear blueprint, and it takes a whole lot of time, materials, effort, love. And then the house is built and ready to be furnished and lived in. So whatever analogy you prefer. Yes, keep building, keep planting.
Oh, what a great way to end this, because my last affirmation, which I forgot to put on there, is what you want to say. We have every adversity has a seed of good in it. We have this or something better still. And the last thing I want to help you remember, this is what it looks like while it's all coming together.
Yes.
And sometimes when we feel like our dream is stalled, just say that. This is what it looks like while it's all coming together. And that way you can get through the hard spots. You can get through the fears. You can get through the, I don't see much happening. Is anything happening? Just keep saying to yourself, this is what it looks like while it's all coming together.
Yes.
And next week I have Kathleen Davies Parks here for acknowledging our fears so that we can keep going. But right now I want to say thank you so much to Dana for coming today.
Thank you
What
for
a
having
great
me, and
way.
thank you to your audience. I love you. And you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Girls Who Recover. You can Google my name and that will come up for you. And if you want that resource on building unshakable confidence, you can find that in my bio on my Instagram page. Would love to share that with you.
Bio in the Aspie Bridge as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll
That
drop
way
that in
they
there
can
for
go
you.
right to your name and your bio in the Aspie Bridge Facebook group, which everybody's welcome to have, and they can find the form right there.
Okay,
So,
great. I'll do that. Thank you so
I
much,
want-
Suzanne. So
Thank
grateful for
you.
you.
I am so happy, and maybe we can reciprocate, and I can come help you out on your podcast or
That would be
your
awesome.
YouTube channel at some point if you'd like.
I would love that. I love you all. I'm so proud of you, and I believe in your ability to create a life you absolutely love.
Thank you, Dana.
See you next time.